Delia Ramirez doesn't ease in. She walks straight up to Kristi Noem and unloads a list of alleged abuses so long it sounds like a charge sheet. Illegal impoundments, violated court orders, corrupted contracts, deported citizens. And then Ramirez goes where almost no member ever does. You are unfit. I demand your resignation. Noem never sees it coming.
Gentlelady's time has expired. I now recognize Ms. Ramirez for 5 minutes of questioning.
Thank you, Chairman. Secretary, it's good to see you. I'm going to go straight to the questions because I have a lot of them. Let me start just following up with Congressman Goldman about judiciary. Do you agree that the judiciary is a co-equal branch of government and it is your obligation as a member of the executive branch to honor decisions made by the highest court of the land? Yes or no, Secretary?
We are
Yes.
abiding by all federal judges' orders,
So
absolutely.
yes, it's a co-equal branch of government. Okay, well, let me ask you a follow-up question to that. Do you agree that Congress is a co-equal branch of government and it is your obligation as a member of the executive branch to honor legislation and appropriations duly authorized by Congress? Yes or no?
Yes, that's why I'm
Thank you.
thrilled to work.
Well, let me ask you the follow-up question here because I have a lot of them. Do you agree that Article 1 of the Constitution gives Congress the power of the purse? Yes or no?
Yes, that is a duty.
Do you
of
believe
Congress
that,
to be
let me
able
ask
to
you another
appropriate
follow-up, it's
funds.
just yes or no. Do you believe you have the power to disregard congressional appropriations and unilaterally repurpose funds that have been duly appropriated by Congress? Yes or no?
Ma'am, we are not doing that.
So the
We are
answer to
using
you is
dollars
no.
as to
All
how
right,
they
well,
were
it was a
appropriated
yes or
for
no,
ensuring the
Secretary. Let me
programs have
continue. Interestingly, you said no. But since you've been Secretary, you have repeatedly disregarded the law. You have illegally impounded funds that Congress appropriated and that your branch of government must implement pursuant to the law. Yet you've closed offices established in law, including the Office for Civil Rights and Civil Liberties, the Office of the Immigration Detention Ombudsman, the Office of the Citizenship and Immigration Services, and you've canceled contracts for programs authorized in law, including shelter and service programs and citizenship and integration grants. You've obstructed and roughed up members of this committee as they attempted to conduct congressional oversight, and then you vilified them. But my question is, if they were so bad, why were they allowed to go in after to conduct oversight? Let me just continue. You redirected funds to terrorize our communities. You created taxpayer-funded political propaganda campaigns to terrorize families and children who don't sleep at night because of the terror of those commercials that you are putting out there. You hold sick, disrespectful press conferences in my state where, let me be clear, you are not welcome. You corruptly used emergency authority to avoid procurement to make Trump's private prison donors richer by directing $45 billion for them to expand ICE detention centers. You defunded work to address real threats to the homeland, all while you pursued college newspaper editors, labor leaders, and even a Harvard scientist who failed to declare frog embryos at the airport. Clearly, we don't have time for all my questions, so I have 13 pages worth of questions that I will be submitting to the record that I expect you and the administration to answer. But here is my final question to you. When you took your oath, did you swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America? Yes or no?
Yes, I did.
So I find that laughable. You don't behave like someone who takes that oath seriously. And let me tell you why. We don't live in a dictatorship or a monarchy. Trump's will is not the guiding doctrine of this nation, and our country is not a playground for his or your twisted authoritarian fantasies. We are a democracy. We defend the Constitution and we affirm the rule of law. We respect the co-equal branches of government and we uphold our rights, even when we disagree. The foundation of our nation is based on a core set of constitutional rights upon which our prosperity, our pluralism, and our peace depend on it. You, however, have been leading this work for 116 days, and in that time, you have profiled and dehumanized our neighbors. You've betrayed our constitutional commitment to due process. You've deported United States citizens. You've undermined the courts. You've broken the law. You've engaged in corruption, and you've weaponized the immigration system to violate civil rights. As Senator Murphy perfectly stated, your department is out of control. But you're responsible. You have betrayed the sacred fundamentals of your oath. And I believe to my core that you are not fit to hold the office. And I again, to your face, demand your immediate resignation. And I put it and place it on the record for all of us to see. With that, Chairman, I yield back.
Ramirez begins with the foundation of American government, the co-equal branches, the judiciary, Congress, the constitutional structure every cabinet secretary swears to uphold. These are yes or no questions, the kinds that should take seconds. But with Noem, even the basics become slippery, because once Ramirez gets her on record acknowledging Congress's constitutional power, especially the power of the purse, she immediately forces Noem into the contradiction she cannot escape. You admit Congress allocates, you admit you must follow the law, and yet your actions show the opposite. And this is where the hearing shifts from oversight to indictment. Ramirez methodically lays out example after example of what she frames as deliberate, systemic abuses of power. Offices Congress created shut down by Noem, programs Congress funded quietly dismantled, appropriations redirected without authorization, grants canceled, contracts voided, investigations misused, and most explosively, actions that Ramirez argues have actively harmed citizens, including deportations of U.S. citizens, something she characterizes as a direct violation of due process. You can hear the frustration in her tone, but underneath it is something more sober, a warning about what happens when an executive branch official decides the law is flexible, that oversight is optional, that their loyalty is owed not to the Constitution, but to the president's political agenda. Ramirez isn't just accusing Noem of mismanagement, she is accusing her of bending federal power into a political weapon, the very thing Noem insists she is fighting against. And then Ramirez dives into the part that chills the room, the propaganda campaigns funded with taxpayer dollars, the press conferences designed to stoke fear, the surveillance and targeting of people nowhere near national security threats, college newspaper editors, labor leaders, immigrant families, even a scientist flagged for frog embryos at the airport. Ramirez frames it all as a pattern, not random, not accidental, but intentional. You can see Noem trying to sit still, but her answers are thin, vague, repetitive, and that vacuum creates its own feeling, that the specifics Ramirez lays out aren't being disputed because they can't be. So Ramirez does what almost no member ever does in a hearing like this. She brings the moral and constitutional argument to its conclusion. She tells Noem she has betrayed her oath, betrayed the courts, betrayed due process, betrayed citizens, betrayed the very structure of American democracy. Ramirez's voice doesn't rise, but the intensity does, because you realize she's not performing for cameras, she's documenting for the record. She's creating an official, undeniable moment where a member of Congress declares a cabinet secretary unfit for office. And then she does the unthinkable, the thing that freezes the room. She demands Noem's immediate resignation, and she places it in the record, permanently, for history. What makes this moment so powerful isn't the volume or the anger, it's the precision, it's the preparation, it's the unmistakable shift from questioning to judgment. Ramirez doesn't just allege wrongdoing, she outlines it, catalogs it, connects it. She turns the hearing into a mirror and asks Noem and the country to look directly at it. Whether viewers agree with Ramirez or Noem, one truth is unavoidable. This wasn't politics as usual. This was a constitutional confrontation, a fundamental clash over the meaning of the oath, the limits of power, and the integrity of the rule of law. And the question Ramirez leaves hanging in the air is the one every democracy eventually faces. When officials break the guardrails, who puts them back in place? So before you click away, ask yourself, which part of this was the most revealing to you? Was it the constitutional arguments, the examples Ramirez laid out, Noem's answers, or the final resignation demand? Because moments like this tell us not just who's in power, but how they wield it, and what the consequences might be if no one pushes back. If you want more breakdowns like this one, subscribe for our next deep dive analysis.